What's up, humanity? It's Giovanni DeVicente, and in today's episode of Worldwide Opinions, we're talking about weather modification.
Gifted, lifted, high above the ground, on cloud 9, 10, infinite, I'm not found. I'm flying up, looking down at your galaxy, over niggas' heads like a god heavenly. Who you telling me, JD Worldwide?
In the last episode, I was talking about preparation because all this crazy weather is happening, and it just occurred that Maria just devastated Puerto Rico, another earthquake, literally right after I posted my original video, another earthquake hit Mexico. So it got me wondering because I saw a video.
Now we're learning that scientists and researchers are looking at how to change the weather on purpose. That's right. Lasers now could one day manipulate rain and lightning.
So, this is a old clip from 2013 where CBS interviewed Michio Kaku, a physics professor. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but they interviewed him about weather modification. And in the clip, he says that scientists may be able to manipulate the weather, and experiments have been done in the past, but the evidence is inconclusive. He then breaks down the science behind it.
We physicists are firing trillion-watt lasers into the sky to actually precipitate rain clouds and actually bring down lightning bolts. This is potentially a game changer.
But this is experimental.
It's experimental. However, in the laboratory so far it works. When you have water vapor and you have dust particles or ice crystals, you can precipitate rain. It condenses around the seeds. These seeds can also be created by laser beams. By firing trillion-watt lasers, you rip apart the electrons, creating what are called ions, and these ions act like seeds, like dust particles, bringing down rain and even lightning.
This video has been flown around recently, and it seems like some kind of PR campaign to deny weather manipulation in the past. But they're kind of like, it's a possibility in the future. Probably because they're probably doing this because people have been asking more questions and being aware. So he further explains that there hasn't been any evidence so far as he knows. Let me roll the clip.
Well, this fascinates me in part because, too, I remember reading the stories that China had used this during the Olympics, that the USSR had used this after Chernobyl to create rain clouds. I mean, did those really work then? We have some of these capabilities now?
Inconclusive. Even in the 60s, the CIA used this to bring down monsoons during the Vietnam War, to wash out the Viet Cong. Governments have been playing with this thing.
Alleged to.
Alleged to, right.
Yeah.
Now, we realize that for decades now, these governments have been alleged to have experimented with weather control, but nothing conclusive. This time we're bringing in the laws of physics. We're actually using trillion-watt lasers now. And in the laboratory, sure enough, they precipitate rain out of water vapor. Sure enough, you can actually bring down electricity down the beam.
So he admits they can create rain and thunder in the lab, but they couldn't do it in the past. I think that's bullshit. First, I don't trust what the government has to say. They lie all the time. And this type of information, I would assume they would keep secret from the general public. So they're now releasing this information, and this is back in 2013. But yeah, if you trust them, go ahead. I believe this tech was successful in the past to control the weather and the government through HARP, which is a government agency called High Frequency Active Auroral Research, and DARPA, which is Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. So they create a lot of crazy stuff for the military, like lasers, like crazy weapons. I did my research, and if you're interested, you should too. I'll post links to support my beliefs. The government has kept secrets from the Manhattan Project to the Tuskegee experiments until they were unclassified. So I wouldn't be surprised if the government has manipulated the weather successfully in the past and are currently doing it now. And that goes for any government or any private corporation. I ask people, and they believe it too. I just want people to think outside the box and open their mind. Check it out. Peace and love.
Do you think it's possible for the weather to be manipulated, and why?
I do believe in it. The weather is very scientific. You know, how rain is created, how hurricanes and earthquakes, tectonic plates and all that. And I believe that if we can create something that could modify that, it should be a priority. Because, they released a movie about this recently, actually. Can't remember the title, but it had the same premise. Let's modify our weather so that we can control our life. And that was pretty cool.
Yes.
Yeah, I think weather modification is a very real thing. We use it a lot to increase. Well, so weather modification, it's very real. We can do it by cloud seeding, which is you release chemicals into the clouds that act as condensation or ice nuclei, and they condensate and make thicker clouds and more rainfalls, just as a consequence. And it helps grow crops. It helps like super dry areas get more moisture, and it's good. It's a good thing, and people do it to help the crops. I think people take real concepts and then they get afraid of what they could do. But really, yeah, you could thicken up a cloud and you could make it pour rain on a town and flood the town. But why would you want to do that? I feel like when government does something that's a little shady, it's usually driven by money or political reasons, and there's no political reason or money behind sending a tornado into a American town. You know what I mean? Like, they give you a tornado in an American town and destroy it. It's like, that sucks for you. It sucks for the government. So I feel like there's no malicious purposes. I think it's all helpful.
Yes, I do believe that it does exist. I do believe that they are doing that. Yes.
Definitely I do. Yes, I do. And I believe it because, not because I've seen it on any mainstream media, but because I've looked to alternative media and their research into it.
Who do you think should have this power?
Interesting. Well, I'm always going to believe that it should be in the hands of the scientists, because they're the ones running it. It's kind of one of those things of, you want to have a branch of powers. You want to be able to have someone that can voice their opinion if scientists are deemed to, not insane, but crazy, right? For science, it's not a matter of if we can, it's should we, right? There's lots of topics of that where wild, uncontrolled scientific studies sometimes results in not the greatest of results. But opposite, that can also be helpful to us. So I believe scientists should be largely in control of it, but there definitely should be a power that could keep them in check.
Us, the humans, the government, just everybody in general. Everybody. Everybody. I think everybody, from like young people to everybody. Everybody should be informed.
I don't think anybody should have that power to manipulate the weather. I don't think anybody should.
I think we the people should have the power due to certain areas are super dry, which is something that we should have power of so that we can prevent fires and stuff like that from happening. Droughts. I feel that it's something that more people should know about, and that the voters, we should vote about who should have control of it. And I feel it's a threatening issue because increasingly more and more the superpowers of the world want to have control of weather, and I think that people are going to start arguing over who gets the sun and who gets the moon and stuff. You know what I mean?
Let me ask that again. Okay. Do you believe in weather modification?
No.
Why?
Because I think that the weather modification helps pretty much basic corporations with the idea that they can change the weather so that they're in cahoots with the I can't remember offhand, but the pharmaceutical industry. And so with the pharmaceutical industry, they work hand in hand. If we work and we change the weather, then we have problems with the food growth. And then if we work and change the weather, then we'll have problems with people's health. And so it kind of goes hand in hand. And I think that that's probably what the problem is in our society right about now.
So you said you don't believe in weather modification?
No, I don't.
Oh, you mean, okay. I'm sorry, let me rephrase this question. Because I meant to say, like, do you believe in it existing?
I think I think if you give farmers resources to cloud seed or produce more crops, I think it's a good thing. I think it should be regulated and dished out evenly. I don't think like commercial farms should be allowed to produce much more crops because as a consequence of that, it'll just put smaller farms out of business. I think it should be given to all farms, small, big, whatever, and regulated.
Well, there you go. That's it for today's episode on weather modification. So, if you like that video, you know what to do. Subscribe, like, and catch me next time. Peace.